lovely day outside, wonderful music. Let's get started with our Sunday. Standing outside the door of love and mercy, you wonder if there's a place there for you. You know there's peace inside, but still you're searching for someone who understands the pain you've been through. Well, the door's unlocked, the lights are on. What are you waiting for? Come on in, welcome home. You are loved, you belong here now. No matter where you've been, come on in. You'll find the place of rest in the arms of spirit. God's waited so long for your homecoming day. God knows the peace you seek and the hurt you're feeling. Spirit wants to hold you and to wipe the tears away, while the Father waits with open arms. God is calling out your name. Come on in, welcome home. You are loved, you belong here now. No matter where you've been, come on in. Well, there's room enough in the house of love for someone just like you. Come on in, welcome home. You are loved, you belong here now. No matter where you've been, just come on in, welcome home. You are loved, you belong here now. No matter where you've been, come on in. Come on in, welcome home. You are loved, you belong here now. No matter where you've been, just come on in, welcome home. You are loved, you belong here now. No matter where you've been, so come on in.
And good morning, everybody. Our studio audience this morning of 4 is joining all of us and welcoming all of you in live stream, all snuggled into your warm, cozy blankets on this beautiful, beautiful morning here. So welcome, everybody. If you're on Facebook, we welcome you there. It's Unity of Pompano Spiritual Center. And if you're on our website, it's unitypompanobeach.org. So greetings, everybody. Merry Christmas a couple days later. And as we're ready for our Happy New Year, we want to greet our band who did a fabulous job for us on Christmas Eve. And we look forward to many more years with them, directed by James McCoy.
Good morning. Good morning. It really was a great thing on Christmas Eve. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully we started a tradition there.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have Mr. Pete Wallace at the piano and keyboard with us this morning. Mr. Jeff Renza at the drum set. Samantha Natalie Wallace is our featured soloist. And we have music this morning from Matthew West and from Simon and Garfunkel.
Yeah, we know who they are, right? Sure, we know Simon and Garfunkel. And I'm Bev Spivey. It's my pleasure to be here as your co-minister with my husband, Reverend Lawrence Palmer. We have enjoyed this holiday season with you, and we look forward to many more. So I do call your attention to our website, unitypompanobeach.org, where you can keep in touch with what we have going on. We have continued throughout this pandemic. We have continued with all of our courses, classes, services online, mostly through Zoom. We invite you to check what's going on. There is registration there for Sunday services. I think the promo says limited seating. We maintain very many safety protocols here. So it will cut off if there are too many who are registered, but we haven't had that. We haven't had more than 10 or 11 with us on a Sunday morning when we have 350 seats. So there's plenty of room in here, and we enjoy your presence, and you can enjoy the live music that way if it suits you to be out and about on this Sunday morning. In addition to the reservations for our services, you'll find our announcements of classes. We've got a new series coming up called the Enneagram that our licensed teacher, Cynthia, is going to be teaching. If you have not experienced the teaching of Cynthia Roberts, it is worth it just to be in her presence with these classes and gain from her insights. She is also leading a new Power Hour series. We have done Power Hour here every Sunday morning for 10 years. And Cynthia, again, does a wonderful job there of focusing on a book for the year. This one coming up in 2021, you will see the promo online. And it is focused on how to deal with loss, how to deal with real grief of death of loved ones, but even on down the scale of losses, we've all had a lot of loss in many different ways this year, and this will be a good discussion on that. So take a look at our website for those upcoming things and register for them because they will be on Zoom, require that you get the link for that meeting. What I do want to ask you to do today is to register for our Burning Bowl service, which is New Year's Eve, coming up on Thursday evening at 7 o'clock. Yes, it'll be dark. And instead of being in the sanctuary, we figured out how we're going to do this to enable you to write things you want to release for this year, be finished with, get them off your heart, get them off your mind, and put them in the fire. So we're going to be outside in our parking lot. Lawrence and I will be in the back of his truck, and we have an FM broadcasting radio. So in the comfort of your own car, we have a lot of parking places there, so there's no worries about anybody breathing on you. Just come in your car, tune on your radio, and we will have our service that way, rain or shine. If there happens to be rain, Lawrence and I will be under an umbrella, and we will figure out at that point what we do about burning our releases. You may need to take them home if it's pouring, but otherwise, hey, it's Florida. The rain never bothers us a bit. So do take advantage of all of those wonderful things that we have upcoming in the new year. But while we're in December, I will remind you that all of this year, in 2020, we used the theme of perfect vision, lifting up our spiritual eyes to see what is the bigger picture, to look with love, to look with compassion, to look fearlessly and bravely at the picture in front of us and see what's ours to do. So in December, the theme has been on plenty. As we realize sometimes we focus too much on what we don't have, and we complain and, agonize over things we have to do that, we didn't have to do before. It's still plentiful in our world. We are still very, very, very blessed, no matter how much we have lost this year. So I call your attention to the affirmation for the month of December as we close it out on plenty. I trust the universal spirit of plenty to provide for all my needs. I trust the universal spirit of plenty to provide for all my needs. And thinking of that plenty now, we move to the daily word for today, Sunday, December 27, and our word is release. If we can trust in plenty, then we can release, can't we? So, release, the affirmation is, I take the best and leave the rest. My experiences of this past year have brought me gifts of insight, new perspectives, many chances to grow and stretch myself, and perhaps the opportunity to develop a skill that serves me in my work or brings greater enjoyment to my leisure time. Some experiences have been painful or difficult. These too have offered their gifts. I accept all that has come my way. With gratitude, I bless it all. I find the gifts and release what no longer serves my growth. Assured that God is my dependable source, I release any pain of a financial setback. In the joy of restored health, I release any memory of illness. Grateful for all modes of connection, I release any pain of loneliness. I move forward feeling lighter, cleansed, and renewed for my journey forward. I take the best and leave the rest. And the scripture is from Isaiah 43:18. Do not remember the former things or consider the things of old. And I will add my own completion of that passage because it's a favorite of mine. After he says, do not remember the former things or consider the things of old, Isaiah says, I am doing a new thing. It springs up. Do you not perceive it? Let us prepare now for new things in this time of prayer and meditation.
When you feel the light and love of God around you, you know the truth is you. As the light of God, the love of God surrounds you, you know the truth is you. Let the power of God, the peace of God inside you become the power, holy you. Become the peace, holy you. That is you. As the power of the Christ mind connects you, you know the truth is you. May divine intelligence inside you always guide you to the truth. Let the power of God, the peace of God inside you become the power, holy you. Become the peace, holy you. That is you. That is you. That is you.
I invite you now, wherever it is that you may be, to join in this time of stillness, to recognize that this is your time, and you have the authority, you have the power to make it yours. And I invite you to enter with us into a time of stillness, a time of silence. And I invite you to imagine a place appropriate for such an experience. A building, a room in a building, a place outdoors. Bev and I recently were hiking and walked into this area that was completely enclosed by trees. And it was so quiet and so still. Perhaps you have a place like that in your mind as well. But I invite you to give your body permission to relax, to withdraw from any imagined activity, and just to be still. And give your mind that same permission to withdraw from activity and to be fully present, simply in the stillness. And as we experience that place of stillness and silence, we recognize the presence of Spirit so powerfully, without the distractions of the outer, without things demanding our attention, requiring us to act in a certain way, we're able to focus on that still point that is within us. We need not search for it. We need not make it happen or find it. It is there as a part of who and what we are. The I am comes from the stillness. So as we join our hearts and our minds together as individually, we enter this place of stillness and allow it to be exactly what it is to be to each of us. And in that place of stillness, we wait, patiently knowing that we are enfolded in love. We are enfolded in peace and power and presence. And everything that is unlike stillness is still there. Whatever you turned your attention away from, you can turn it back to later. But right now, all that occupies your mind and your body, your spirit, is stillness. And now we enter into that time together. As you prepare to return your awareness to your time and your space, you know that even though your attention may be focused on the outer, that inner place of pure peace and stillness and silence still exists within you, always waiting for your simple turn of attention and stepping into the stillness. So I invite you with a deep sense of gratitude for this time together to take a deep, slow breath in through your nose. Hold it for a moment. Exhale slowly through your mouth. And when you're ready, open your eyes as we sing Alleluia.
Alleluia, alleluia. Alleluia.
darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again, because a vision softly creeping left its seed while I was sleeping, and the vision that was planted in my brain still remains within the sound of silence. In restless dreams I walked alone, narrow streets of cobblestone, 'neath the halo of a street lamp. I turned my collar to the cold and damp, when my eyes were stabbed by the flash of a neon light that split the night and touched the sound of silence. And in the naked light I saw 10,000 people, maybe more, people talking without speaking, people hearing without listening, people writing songs that voices never share. No one dared disturb the sound of silence. Fool, said I, you do not know. Silence like a cancer grows. Hear my words that I might teach you. Take my arms that I might reach you. But my words, like silent raindrops, fell and echoed in the wells of silence. And the people bowed and prayed to the neon god they made, and the sign flashed out its warning in the words that it was for me. And the sign said the words of the prophets are written on the subway walls and tenement halls, and whispered in the sound of silence.
Back memories, doesn't it? Early 70s and a 1966 Chevy Impala. Yeah. Pardon me while I drift off a little bit there. Well, we come one Sunday closer to 2021 and a little bit closer to New Year's Eve that we're going to celebrate together here, as Bev already talked about. I love this time of year. There's so much meaningful stuff going on. It can be meaningful stuff. It can turn into madness, but we don't allow that in Unity, do we? I've entitled this sermon, A Breath in the Waiting, because we are to some degree suspended between 2 years. We're suspended between what we want to get away from and what we want to get into. So some people are suspended into hanging on tenaciously to the past and worrying about going into the future. But in whatever case, it's a transition. It's a moving from one place, one mindset, one experience into another. And part of what I hope to accomplish by us getting together in this way and talking about this is that transition has become smooth. And it becomes something healthy, and it becomes something that we can look forward to and something that we can plan for. So we want to talk about being still this morning, as the song indicated to us, the Simon and Garfunkel. As you know, I'm kind of fanatical about researching the Bible when I'm preaching about something, and I looked through for this phrase, be still, in the Bible. And it's used in a lot of different ways, some 100 times or so, but 7 times I could find in the Bible where be still means exactly what we're going to be talking about this morning. That is the encouragement, I'll hesitate to use the word command, but the encouragement for you and me to be still. To find that time where we re-enter that experience of source, that first-hand experience of source in the stillness where there's nothing else but you and Spirit present in that place. So let's take a look at 3 of those instances of the 7 times where we hear be still or something intending that. First of all, from 1 Kings chapter 9. Elijah was a prophet, and Elijah had gotten fed up with his work. He was burned out because nobody was listening to him, and he was doing his best and nobody was following. So he ran away. He ran out into the wilderness, found a cave, and went and hid himself in the cave. But God found him. The Lord said to Elijah, go out and stand on the mountain in the presence of the Lord, for the Lord is about to pass by. Then a great and powerful wind tore the mountain apart and shattered the rocks before the Lord. But the Lord was not in the wind. After the wind there was an earthquake, but the Lord was not in the earthquake. And after the earthquake came a fire, but the Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire came a gentle whisper, or those of you familiar with the King James Version, it says there, a still, small voice. That's what I grew up hearing. When Elijah heard it, he pulled his cloak over his face and went out and stood at the mouth of the cave. Then a voice said to him, what are you doing here, Elijah? Now, out of this time of stillness came for Elijah a question. And I think a question is appropriate for us too now. What are you doing here now? What are you doing here? And we can ask that question in several ways. We can ask, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? So it means different things to all of us, but that question comes out of the stillness. What are you doing here? What are you doing with your thoughts? What are you doing with your actions? What are you doing with your feelings? And that's an appropriate question for us to ask, especially at this time of year when we're in the midst of this transition from one year to another, from one form of energy, from one conglomeration of energy into another. It's an appropriate question. What are we doing here? Am I going forward? Am I going backwards? Am I learning? Am I forgetting? And am I becoming more of what I want to be or less of what I want to be? And it's important for us to ask that question not in a critical way of finding out what's wrong with us or what we've done wrong or what hasn't happened like we wanted to, but the simple observation from a spiritual vantage point, from a vantage point of stillness of saying, okay, what's going on in my life right now? What are the things that are going to perpetuate my goodness and my happiness and my joy? What are the things that are hindering that? Perhaps I should let go of those things that hinder it. And perhaps I should spend a little bit more time on those things that are furthering the cause of my goodness. This question is really important for us to ask. And I would also observe that this question, what are you doing here? When it comes out of the stillness, it is different. The question itself is substantially different than when it comes out of busyness and activity and craziness that we're in out in the world. Because when our mind is going 90 miles an hour, it's going in 10 different directions, it's wondering about this and wondering about that and fighting this and fussing with that and worrying about this and not knowing about that. When the question, what are you doing here, comes out of that, the question will reflect that character. And the question is going to be scattered as our thoughts are scattered. But when we go into the stillness, and however it is that you manage to do that, there's no one way of your entering your consciousness into the stillness. But when you do that, the question that comes out of that stillness, the question that comes out of that silence will be appropriate. It'll be what will help you on your way. It'll help you into that next step of your life and your experience. So remember the difference in when you're busy and active and rushing around and having too much to do. The questions that come out of your mind at that time are going to reflect that character. But the questions that come out of the stillness are very different. Those you can depend on, those you can trust to take you in the direction that you need to go. Thomas More said, "Silence is not an absence of sound, but rather a shifting of attention towards sounds that speak to the soul." So we begin to learn by practice to listen to those sounds and voices and questions that come from the depths of our soul. And we're able to tell the difference in that and what comes out of a frenetic activity, or what may come out of judgment, or what may come out of somebody else questioning us. That question that comes out of the stillness is solid, and it's meaningful for us. To remember that out of the stillness, a question can come. Now, the second instance of be still in Psalm 46, God says, "Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth." Be still and know. Now, there's this matter of knowing is fascinating to me. There's a whole branch of philosophy around knowing. There's a whole branch of psychology around knowing. And some of the other neuroscience fields have gotten into it as well. The matter of knowing is something we've not talked about enough, I don't think. We've left that to the heady people. But it's important for us in our everyday lives of what do I know? Now, I've confessed to you before that I'm something of a closet agnostic. Now, agnosticism is a spiritual discipline that focuses on the fact that essentially that we can't really know what is true. We can't know absolutely what is true because every way we know can be deceived. If you've ever been in a what they call them, the fun houses at an amusement park, where there are mirrors that distort the size and the floors are crooked and the ceiling's crooked and you get all disoriented and everything. And the world is like that a lot of times. And it's hard to know what is really true. Even in your vehicle on the passenger side of your car, that little caveat printed on the bottom of your mirror that objects in this mirror are different from what they appear to be. They're closer. It's a deception, but we look in the mirror and we trust that. So it's important for us to realize that knowing is a matter of what's going on inside of us. I know what I say I know, and that's it. I can't prove it. I can't prove you are sitting out there. I love seeing you here. It's wonderful to have you here. And I'm trusting that you are really here. And I am really here, but I don't know that. I can't know that for sure. I have no way to prove it. I say, well, I can see you, but my eyes can be deceived. I had so much fun when those computer printouts came out on posters that I've forgotten what they actually call them now, but if you stared at it just right, defocused your eyes, it suddenly turned three-dimensional. And not only that, if you crossed your eyes, the three-dimensionality came at you, and if you focused on the other side of it, defocused your eyes, the three-dimensionality went that way. Well, is that really true? I've seen people literally reach out and try to touch it. The three-dimensional things coming at them. They're not there. It's a flat piece of paper. It's a deception. Your eyes are being deceived. So your senses can be very much deceived and disoriented from things out in the world. So what can we know? And that's a whole series of sermons somewhere down the road. I might preach on that next year. Bev always gives me grief over me telling you I'm going to preach about things and then not doing it. But that one will come up, I'm sure. So out of being still, according to this passage out of the Psalms, we know. Knowing comes out of being still, as much as knowing can be. Because it is in that place of stillness where there are no distractions. It is in that place of stillness where there is no untruth. There's no misperception. Out of that stillness comes a knowing that we can use. All of us need some point of knowing as we go out into the world. We need to know whether it meets all the scientific criteria or not. We need to know that my car is sitting outside. And I need to know that when I go and sit in my car and turn the key, it turns on. And I drive down the road and everybody else usually obeys the traffic laws and everything's fine. I need to know that I'm going to wake up in the morning when I go to sleep at night. We need to know certain things out in the world. Now, the best knowing that we can have comes from the stillness. It comes from the silence. And part of my ongoing mantra when I meditate and I pray is, Spirit, show me what is real. Show me what is true. Show me what I can know. And I go from there. Now, that doesn't mean that some scientists couldn't come along with instruments and everything else and prove that what I'm saying I know, I can't really know. That's irrelevant, because my world is in here. My world is what goes on within me and my communion with Spirit, and knowing is one of those things, and one of the ways of knowing is to be still and to be silent. So our time of meditation, where we go in and we sit and we wait, or we walk, or we stand, or whatever it is that we do to experience that meditation, a big part of that is being in the stillness. And as a result of being in the stillness, we know. And from that place of knowing, we can go forward. Ponce Chief White Eagle said, "When you are in doubt, be still and wait. When doubt no longer exists for you, then go forward with courage. So long as mists envelop you, be still. Be still until the sunlight pours through and dispels the mists, as surely it will. Then act with courage." So sometimes out of the stillness comes knowing. Now, the third example comes from Genesis chapter 1 and verse 1. "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Now the earth was formless and empty. Darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters." Now, in this case, out of stillness came manifestation. Scripture says that the earth was formless and empty. It existed in thought form in the mind of God, and then it became manifest in the midst of that stillness. And we can take that as an example for ourselves. Charles Fillmore said the human organism has a world of latent energies waiting to be brought into manifestation. Now, you've heard this over and over again. We always teach this in our classes, and I remind people of it, and I give you pop quizzes regularly. We have something that we call the creative process. And if you know it, say it with me. The creative process is mind, idea, expression. Mind, idea, expression is the creative process. It is the way in which everything that is came into isness, came into being. From the mind of God, which is completely formless, came an idea, which is a form, and that form then drew to itself substance and became manifested out in the world. So it began with stillness. It always begins with stillness, because it is there from which the ideas come. There's so many stories about inventors and entrepreneurs whose ideas came out of the stillness. My all-time favorite that I use over and over again, there was a gentleman named Morse who invented the sewing machine. My mother had a Morse sewing machine when I was a kid. And he was in the process of inventing this new tool, and he had one problem of getting the thread through the material and hooked up with the other side of the thread. And one night as he was sleeping, he had a dream, and he was being chased through the jungle with a bunch of natives, and all their spears had holes in the end of them. And he woke up and realized, there it is. There's the sewing needle. And that's what finished the project of the sewing machine, was having that needle that you stick the thread to, and then it runs down and gets caught on the one from underneath. That came out of the stillness. The manifestation of an idea came out of the stillness. And I suspect if we look at all the great inventions that have changed the life of humankind, that at some point along the way there was some degree of this kind of sensitivity, this kind of awareness of ideas that brought the invention to fruition, that completed it, because we go from mind to idea to manifestation. Now, I've always liked that idea, that scripture that says that we are created in the image and likeness of God. As a kid, that used to amaze me, because everybody talked about God floating around in heaven with a long white beard and a long robe, and being kind of old and dotty. And I thought, well, I don't look like that. I don't feel like that. So what does it mean to be created in the image and likeness of God? So in my evolving maturity of understanding spirituality, I see it a little bit different now. But I think that one of the characteristics that God, the primary characteristic of the being of God, that is also the primary characteristic of my being, is that of creator. Out of the mind of God comes an idea that calls to itself substance and is manifested out into the world as what we consider reality. That's the way God's mind works. It is also the way my mind works. I know that I have a mind as well. And out of my mind comes ideas. The other night we were having dinner out on the back porch, and I had a weight bench that I built for myself, and my son-in-law commented on the fact that it looked really nice the way I put it together. And it was one of those things, if I sat down and I drew a sketch or two and then thought about it in my head, and I took the idea that came of that bench and I put it together out of wood, out of mind, an idea, and the bench became reality. And that's the way, on a simple level, all of our life works. Everything that gets manifested in our lives goes through this process. Sometimes it happens, and this is grace in operation, because sometimes it happens even without our understanding, even without our awareness. And that's a good thing most of the time. But if we are really deliberate, if we can create some of the wonderful things we have out of a very low consciousness and very shallow awareness, what in the world can we do if we are conscious and aware and deliberate about it? If I know that I have a mind that is like the mind of God, and I know from that mind comes the form of ideas, and then I can draw substance to those ideas and manifest them. If I know that, then what is it that is impossible to me? What is it that I can't do that is mine to do? The answer is that I can do everything that is mine to do, because I am in the image and the likeness of God. Again, Papa Charlie, the human organism has a world of latent energies waiting to be brought into manifestation. So out of the stillness comes this great power that is manifested out in the world. Out of the stillness comes the ideas that are transmuted into substance and into reality in our world. Out of the stillness comes that great truth. So we find that this encouragement to be still is really, really powerful. It is really, really important. And there are a lot of things that hinge upon our understanding that encouragement and doing something about it. So when we find that way that works for us, that takes us into that place of stillness, when we go into that place of silence and we wait, we know that there's ripe fruit ready to be picked. We know that there are things waiting on us to be ready to be manifested through us. There are things that are ours to do that we'll never know if we don't go into the stillness and wait for them to appear to us and wait for them to flow through us. So in this season of waiting, this time between years, this time between shifting energies in human consciousness, it is so very good for us to know about waiting and to know about the stillness and to know about the silence and how we play a part of that. So between now and the arrival of the new year, I encourage you to embrace the silence and the stillness, to go into there and let yourself be embraced as well by the stillness. Let yourself be overshadowed by the silence and be in that perfect place, the perfect being that you are. And remember that out of the stillness came a question. What are you doing here? Out of the stillness came a knowing of who and what you are and what you're about. Out of the stillness came the manifestation that is ours to do as well. Let me close with another quote from Papa Charlie. If you take the great I am into your mind and hold it with the thought of mighty peace, you will feel a consciousness, a harmonizing stillness that no man can understand. This consciousness is healing in itself. It must be felt, realized, and acknowledged by your individual I am before the supreme I am can pour out its power. Then you will know that you have touched something, but you cannot explain it to another just what it is, because you have gone beyond the realm of words and made union with the divine cause. It is the quickening of your divinity through the power of the word. This divine nature is in us all, waiting to be brought into expression through our recognition of the power and the might of the I am. So once more I say to you, happy waiting and Happy New Year. God bless you.
You know, just hearing Lawrence's message, and I don't get a preview, so I hear it for the first time too. I have to really call your attention back to the announcements about that Enneagram class that Cynthia is going to be leading. It's 2 weeks, the last 2 weeks of the month of January and February and March, because there's time in the other 2 weeks for introspection. This is a self-discovery class, and the study of the Enneagram, for me, it's been, 20, 25 years ago. That's what helped me the most in achieving authenticity, understanding why I had made the errors I had made in my life, releasing guilt from those errors, because it's a soul level. Why do we do what we do? Why are we waiting for? What are we waiting for? What are we creating? So I encourage you to take advantage of that class, get the book, and join us for that. I also want to ask you to reflect as we get into this new year what Unity of Pompano has meant to you. Some of you are much more active than others, and we hope that those who aren't as active will come on in, feel part of this community. For indeed, through this comes all sorts of ideas, friendships, business ideas. You may not have connected any of that with your experience of Unity of Pompano, but indeed the energy here is strong, and we connect with one mind, and we just want to get more and more people involved in that pathway of self-discovery. So we want to thank those who have given throughout this year. Maybe it's all year long, maybe you've been giving for 10 years. Some of you have consistently. Maybe you just joined in the first time today. We ask you to please consider the value that you get here. Cynthia Roberts alone is something to be grateful for and to give for. Our music team is another. And Lawrence is another. In this day and age, all of this, of course, takes financial expertise to keep us flowing in the black, not going too far in the red overall for the year, and we're managing to achieve that with your help. Of course, this year we have taken losses as everybody else, but we thank you for your giving. And those who are more hesitant to give, I would ask, what are you waiting for? Even the government's given you $300 charity off the top of your charity donations, whether you itemize or don't. So please send in your donations. Show your appreciation, because we certainly appreciate each and every one of you, and we are here for you. Send in your prayer requests, send in your comments. We'd love to hear from you. So let me just bless our offering now with knowing that each and every one of you gives by virtue of your happy, pleasant attitude, the phone calls you make to others, the service that you give, not only at Unity of Pompano, but elsewhere, just by your very presence of being the Christ presence in the world. We bless all of these gifts. We thank you and bless you for the financial giving as well. And may we encourage each other to continue to be the light in the world and use it wisely. And so it is. Amen.
Here comes the letdown, Christmas is over. Here comes the meltdown, and there goes the cheer. But before we have a breakdown, let us remember the light of the world is still here. Happy day after Christmas and merry rest of the year. Even when Christmas is over, the light of the world is still here. The light of the world. Come January, I'm ready for summer. The Super Bowl's over and then I'll settle for spring. Sometimes we all need a change in the weather, but it won't change the reason we sing. Happy day after Christmas and merry rest of the year. Even when Christmas is over, the light of the world is still here. The light of the world. 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 So take down the stockings, take back the sweaters, take down the lights and the star and the tree. But don't let this world take your joy after Christmas. Take joy to the world and just sing. Happy day after Christmas and merry rest of the year. Even when Christmas is over, the light of the world is still here. Oh, yes, the light of the world. When Christmas is over, the light of the world is still here. The light of the world. The light of the world. Yes, the light of the world. You are the light of the
Hello, here I am. Magic. We want to thank you for being with us today. We certainly enjoy the fellowship we have here at Unity of Pompano and each and every one of you on live stream this morning. We hope that you will continue the joy of Christmas all year long. And we hope to see you on Thursday night for our Burning Bowl service live in our parking lot. So those who are here this morning, if you stand up, and all of you at home, feel our blessing to you as we use Unity's closing blessing.
And I'll say it one last time. Ho, ho, ho.
He lives for that all year. The light of God surrounds us. We are the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. We are the love of God. The power of God protects us. We are the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. We are the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, family all are we. Blessings are falling, are falling, are falling. Blessings are falling like a sweet, sweet rain. Blessings are falling, are falling, are falling on me. Beauty is falling, is falling, is falling. Beauty is falling like a sweet, sweet rain. Beauty is falling, is falling, is falling on me. Oh Lord, I receive your blessing. Oh Lord, I receive your grace.